Genesis 4979 verse 7. Cursed be their anger. What I have said must be kept in mind. Namely, that we are divinely admonished by the mouth of the holy prophet, to keep at a distance from all wicked counsels. Jacob pronounces a woe upon their fury. Why is this? Unless that others may learn to put a restraint upon themselves, and to be on their guard against such cruelty. However, as I have already observed, it will not suffice to preserve our hands pure, unless we are far removed from all association with crime. For though it may not always be in our power to repress unjust violence, yet that concealment of it is culpable, which approaches to the appearance of consent. Here even the ties of kindred, and whatever else would bias a sound judgment, must be dismissed from the mind, since we see a Holy Father, at the command of God, so severely thundering against his own sons. He pronounces the anger of Simon and Levi to be so much the more hateful, because, in its commencement, it was violent, and even to the end, it was implacable. I will divide them in Jacob. It may seem a strange method of proceeding, that Jacob, while designating his sons patriarchs of the church, and calling them heirs of the divine covenant, should pronounce a malediction upon them instead of a blessing. Nevertheless, it was necessary for him to begin with the chastisement, which should prepare the way for the manifestation of God's grace, as will be made to appear at the close of the chapter. But God mitigates the punishment, by giving them an honorable name in the church, and leaving them their right unimpaired. Yea, his incredible goodness unexpectedly shone forth, when that which was the punishment of Levi, became changed into the reward of the priesthood. The dispersion of the Levitical tribe had its origin in the crime of their father, lest he should congratulate himself on account of his perverse and lawless spirit of revenge. But God, who in the beginning had produced light out of darkness, found another reason why the Levites should be dispersed abroad among the people, a reason not only free from disgrace, but highly honorable, namely, that no corner of the land might be destitute of competent instructors. Lastly, he constituted them overseers and governors, in his name, over every part of the land, as if he would scatter everywhere the seed of eternal salvation, or would send forth ministers of his grace. Whence we conclude, how much better it was for Levi to be chastised at the time, for his own good, than to be left to perish, in consequence of present impunity and sin. And it is not to be deemed strange, that, when the land was distributed, and cities were given to the Levites, far apart from each other, this reason was suppressed, 9 and one entirely different was adduced. Namely, that the Lord was their inheritance. For this, as I have lately said, is one of the miracles of God, to bring light out of darkness. Had Levi been sentenced to distant exile, he would have been most worthy of the punishment, but now, God in a measure spares him, by assigning him a wandering life in his paternal inheritance. Afterwards, the mark of infamy being removed, God sends his posterity into different parts, under the title of a distinguished embassy. In Simon there remained a certain, though obscure trace of the curse, because a distinct territory did not fall to his sons by lot, but they were mixed with the tribe of Judah, as is stated in Joshua 19:1. Afterwards they went to Mount Seir, having expelled the Amalekites and taken possession of their land, as it is written, 1 Chronicles 4:4043. Here, also, we perceive the manly fortitude of holy Jacob's breast, who, though a decrepit old man in an exile, lying on his private and lowly couch, nevertheless assigns provinces to his sons, as from the lofty throne of a great king. He also does this in his own right, knowing that the covenant of God was deposited with him, by which he had been called the heir and lord of the land, and at the same time he claims for himself authority as sustaining the character of a prophet of God. For it greatly concerns us, when the word of God sounds in our ears, to apprehend by faith the thing proclaimed, as if his ministers had been commanded to carry into effect what they pronounce. Therefore it was said to Jeremiah, See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out, and to pull down, and to destroy, and to throw down, and to build, and to plant. Jeremiah 1:10. And the prophets are generally commanded to set their faces against the countries which they threaten, as if they were furnished with a large army to make the attack. Verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. In the word praise there is an allusion to the name of Judah, for so he had been called by his mother, because his birth had given occasion for praising God. The father adduces a new etymology, because his name shall be so celebrated and illustrious among his brethren, that he should be honored by them all equally with the firstborn. 10. The double portion, indeed, which he recently assigned to his son Joseph, depended on the right of primogeniture, but because the kingdom was transferred to the tribe of Judah, Jacob properly pronounces that his name should be held worthy of praise. For the honor of Joseph was temporary, but here a stable and durable kingdom is treated of, which should be under the authority of the sons of Judah. Hence we gather that when God would institute a perfect state of government among his people, the monarchical form was chosen by him. And whereas the appointment of a king under the law was partly to be attributed to the will of man, and partly to the divine decree, this combination of human with divine agency must be referred to the commencement of the monarchy, which was inauspicious, because the people had tumultuously desired a king to be given them, before the proper time had arrived. Hence their unseemly haste was the cause why the kingdom was not immediately set up in the tribe of Judah, but was brought forth, as an abortive offspring, in the person of Saul. Yet at length, by the favor and in the legitimate order of God, the preeminence of the tribe of Judah was established in the person of David. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. In these words he shows that Judah should not be free from enemies. But although many would give him trouble, and would endeavor to deprive him of his right, Jacob promises him victory. Not that the sons of David should always prevail against their enemies, for their ingratitude interfered with the constant and equable course of the grace of God, but in this respect, at least, Judah had the superiority, that in his tribe stood the royal throne which God approved, and which was founded on his word. For though the kingdom of Israel was more flourishing in wealth and in number of inhabitants, yet because it was spurious, it was not the object of God's favor, nor indeed was it right, that, by its tinselled splendor, it should eclipse the glory of the divine election which was engraven upon the tribe of Judah. In David, therefore, the force and effect of this prophecy plainly appeared. Then again in Solomon. Afterwards, although the kingdom was mutilated, yet was it wonderfully preserved by the hand of God. Otherwise, in a short space, it would have perished 100 times. Thus it came to pass, that the children of Judah imposed their yoke upon their enemies. Whereas defection carried away 10 tribes, which would not bow their knees to the sons of David. The legitimate government was in this way disturbed, and lawless confusion introduced. Yet nothing could violate the decree of God, by which the right to govern remained with the tribe of Judah. Verse 9. Judah is a lion's whelp. This similitude confirms the preceding sentence, that Judah would be formidable to his enemies. Yet Jacob seems to allude to that diminution which took place when the greater part of the people revolted to Jeroboam. For then the king of Judah began to be like a sleeping lion, for he did not shake his mane to diffuse his terror far and wide, but, as it were, laid him down in his den. Yet a certain secret power of God lay hidden under that torpor, and they who most desired his destruction, and who were most able to do him injury, did not dare to disturb him. Therefore, after Jacob has transferred the supreme authority over his brethren to Judah alone, he now adds, by way of correction, that, though his power should happen to be diminished, he would nevertheless remain terrible to his enemies, like a lion who lies down in his lair.